Hello, I am Dutch Uncle George, and on this video I'm going to be talking about uh, the attribute that allows men to get women. And it really comes down to one attribute. No, it's not money. No, it's not looks, although people with money and or looks tend to have this one attribute, and that attribute is confidence. Confidence is attractive to people even outside of romantic or sexual type of situations. Confidence is attractive to employers. Confidence is attractive to, just making friends. But basically, it's that sense of, you're worthy. That's really what it comes down to. And as we'll go into, there's some subtle differences between confidence and overconfidence, or arrogance, or confidence and I'll call it self promotion, for instance. And so let's talk about those things first. So the difference between confidence and arrogance, I think, is an important one. And let's make no mistake, arrogant guys get pussy, no question. The thing is, though, that arrogance eventually starts to wear on their partners, those people who are their partners. And so typically what happens is, although arrogance will get them laid, it tends to be a problem in terms of maintaining long-term relationships. So, arrogance is, I guess in some ways it's better than being completely, non-confident, having no self-worth. But in the long run, it actually winds up being kind of a lonely existence for a lot of these guys. So what's the difference between confidence and arrogance? The big thing is, the way I define confidence is that is a sense that, all things considered, everything on balance, you're as good as anyone else. And I think that's true for most people. It's that, you have the potential to be as good. Overall, you may be better in one area than another area, but when everything's combined, you wind up being as good on balance as anyone else. Arrogance is the thought that you're better than everyone else, that you are the cream of the crop, that there's nobody possibly any more worthy than you. And like I said, this gets kind of annoying for the people that arrogant people are around. So in the long run, it winds up hurting them, even though in the short run it may create some attraction for them. And then finally, we have the sense of self-promotion that's not legitimate. So, a lot of guys will try to do this, especially if they're not confident. They'll try to pretend that they're better than they are. They'll be like, "Hey, baby, I'll rock your world," this kind of crap. And they know down deep that they really don't have anything really all that great to offer. But if they hype it enough, if they make themselves sound good, like, "Oh, I've got it all going on. I've got this great job. I've got all this money. I am so cool," that kind of stuff. When the truth comes out, they're going to lose those relationships they've built on those lies really rapidly. So confidence is the key here. Like I said, the reason why good-looking guys, rich guys, tend to be sought out by women, of course, it's nice. There are women who are looking for money for somebody to take care of them, the stereotypical gold digger. But a lot of women are not like that. And a lot of women have their own money these days, so they don't need a rich guy to help them out. So they're looking for somebody who's confident, but not necessarily that just because they're rich, or they have happen to be unusually good looking. So how do you get confidence if you don't have you don't happen to be the greatest looking guy in the world, or if you don't have money? I wouldn't know on the looks thing, because I'm obviously stunningly handsome. But what I've heard is that you can learn to become confident by the the short version is, you fake it till you make it. And it really does work that way. If you can incorporate some confident traits and pretend and play act as being confident, you'll get enough feedback and eventually you will become confident. That has certainly been my life experience. I was very shy around women when I was younger. I was very introverted. I still am kind of an introvert, but I can engage with people. I can, be confident that, hey, I'm as good as anybody else. So this is the situation that I found myself in, going from a transition of having almost no success with dating women to, having several dates with different women every week until I finally settled down with my current girlfriend. So I think that we have to kind of start with really basic stuff. If you have something in your life that you're confident with already, you can kind of take those feelings of confidence you have in that one area and transfer them to another area. For instance, maybe you're good with computers, or you're really good at training animals. Anything that you find that you're good at and you're confident with, and you know that you're good at it, you can take those feelings you have from that area and kind of hold them in your mind as you go to something else. And there's one fairly easy technique that's it's been promoted by several different people. Tony Robbins is one that does it, called the swish technique. And in the swish technique, what you do is you make a picture of yourself as you want to be. You make a picture of yourself as you are. And, maybe a picture of you, I'm no good. Nobody's going to want to sleep with me. Nobody's going to want to be around me. And then in the corner, you make a small picture of how you want to be. And you can imagine yourself in some of these areas where you already are confident. And you make that image of, I'm confident. I feel good. I feel worthy. And then what you do is you make that small picture big and bright, block out the other picture, and start again. The big picture of feeling bad about yourself, make the small picture down in the corner of feeling good about yourself, and make it big and bright, block out the other picture. And you go over and over and over again like this, so that you're essentially reprogramming your brain so that every time you start getting down on yourself, those confident feelings will emerge. And so that's a really good way to start developing confidence and transfer it from areas of your life that you have it to areas of your life where you don't have it. The other thing to do is we'll call it play acting. Imagine yourself as somebody who is smooth and good with women. Classic example of this is James Bond. If you imagine yourself walking into the room to greet a woman as James Bond would do it, not as you would do it, and you don't need to fake it. You don't need to inflate your value. You can just be as James Bond would be. I'm Bond, James Bond. So those are a couple of suggestions for starting to develop confidence. And we're going to go into this more in future videos. But this is the thing that I think you really need to focus on, is confidence is where it's at. It isn't having money. It isn't having looks. It's having confidence. And in a lot of ways, the confidence will allow you to generate some additional behaviors that are attractive, such as a good sense of humor that is not self-deprecating, because self-deprecating is the opposite of confidence. So we'll talk about that in other videos. Hope you got something out of this one, though, and I'll look for you on the next one. Thank you for watching.